Hello, everyone, again. It is Greg and Karen with the second episode of
Alzheimer's, what they forget to tell you.
exactly those. If you haven't heard the first podcast, I suggest you go and listen to it. But just to briefly tell you what we're talking about, Karen is a published author, and her book is kind of you're unwilling author. Kind of, right?
Yeah.
It was just more of a collection of your thoughts because you've always been a writer, but you didn't really set out to write a book about this.
That's right.
So if you haven't heard the first one, just briefly, we're talking about Karen's experience as a longtime caregiver, informal caregiver for her mother for 17 years going on, and it's still going. And my story is my dad has just presenting some dementia type behavior. So I'm at the beginning stages and Karen's at the later stages, we'll just say.
Right.
But some of the topics that from our first podcast, some feedback we got is we were just wondering the process to get diagnosed. First of all, because I don't think it's clear cut as with other illnesses that it's a little harder. Would you agree?
Yes, I do. I think, there's not really, well, of course you can get an MRI, but I'm sure early diagnosis won't be picked up necessarily by that.
And would a doctor go to that, or is that like the last stage? Like, well, what's the experience with your mom? How did you guys find out?
Well, when she came to help me with my son, I just noticed certain things that were peculiar. So,
like what?
She didn't know how to mix formula, and she was a registered nurse.
Yeah.
So she didn't know that you just read the instructions.
So it wasn't that she didn't even realize she had to read instructions to be able to do it.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's gotta be scary.
So it was concentrate. So she didn't dilute it, and that was the first main flag for me.
Yeah.
And as usual, you try to self-diagnose. So I thought it was just going to be like menopause, right? Because she was 57, or maybe she's going through menopause or something. Because they say that sometimes your memory or there's confusion.
People talk about that. Yeah. Yeah.
So, when we went to the doctor, it was very alarming.
But I guess at 57, it wasn't even on your radar.
No.
Like, you didn't even consider it that.
I didn't even know what it was.
Right.
I didn't know what Alzheimer's was. So, for sure, I wasn't going in for that.
Yeah.
And they gave, I guess just because of the symptoms, maybe my doctor was forward-thinking. Because he wasn't a specialist at the time. And he gave her a mini mental exam. And then that was it.
Which is just like a cognitive memory type thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
They say that a person that has dementia, and let me clarify, a lot of people they're like, oh, what's the difference between Alzheimer's and dementia? There's no difference. Alzheimer's is just the most prevalent form of dementia.
So the symptoms are the same?
No.
Or is it more severe with Alzheimer's? Or
no, they're all different. It's just under that umbrella of a brain atrophy, right?
Okay.
It's a brain neurological disorder. And one of the main issues that individuals have with Alzheimer's or dementia, I guess, is to draw a clock at a specified time. As simple as that sounds.
They do that for driving tests too, because my dad went through that for his 80th. Right before he lost his license, he had to go in. At 80, they make people do a test. And there was one where they had to read a sentence and pick out all the T's, or the H's, I think it was. So you had to circle all the H's in a paragraph. There's a clock one. But you know what? I was able to kind of... He wasn't having issues at that time, but I was able to kind of tell him to do things like read it backwards, because then it's more obvious when you see the H's rather than just skipping over. So
you were helping him cheat? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, because
I just want to make that clear.
Yeah, I guess. Well, like, he was worried about, and I guess, not.
Well, my mom was cheating. She was looking at the doctor's watch while she was trying.
Oh yeah, I told my dad to wear a watch. Like, I got him an analog. Like,
no,
here,
like,
wear this
and
watch.
Then the doctor kept like covering his watch, and he's like, "You're cheating." I'm like, "Well, she can't. Well, she's smart enough to know how to cheat."
Yeah, then that should be
okay. We're done here.
Yeah.
That's a wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So they did the test, and I guess she didn't do well.
No.
So that's the first stage of prognosis?
Well, he just said, oh, she has Alzheimer's. She has she has Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
And then
you said early, because I thought there was something called early onset dementia, which, when you kind of laughed at me, it does make sense. Like, if you're presenting,
I laughed at you.
If you're presenting, then you have it. It's not like there's no early. It's like not like a sniffle would be like an early onset cold.
Really? Do you say that?
No, that's what I'm saying. It does sound ridiculous.
I have an early onset. I have a pre-cold.
But I thought it was a real
like
thing.
Pre-med.
Till I thought about it, it doesn't make sense. So you either have dementia or you don't. There's no early onset.
No, well, I'm pretty.
Why is that term like so popular now?
Because if you can have it if it's anything before, I guess 60s.
Oh, okay. So the early part is just it's coming early in life.
Right.
See, but I'm not
That's why I laughed when you said it.
Yeah, I thought it was
because your father is. How old's your father?
82.
Right.
So I thought there was like an early stage of the symptoms. That's what I thought it referred to.
No.
Like, if someone has MS, it's rapidly. So I thought maybe it's just at first it'll be like little things, and then there's like another.
Well,
stage
there are
of it.
stages of Alzheimer's, but yeah, they don't call it. I'm at the early stage of.
See, so I'm learning something too. Well, that's good.
Early on, well, there are early stages.
Yes.
But early onset is its own category.
And that's just
for people who present like in their 50s, 40s, 30s. That's early onset. That's not normal.
Got it. Okay.
Well, not that Alzheimer's is normal, anyways, but you know what I mean.
So she's diagnosed, and I guess the other question was, what kind of help in Canada are you? Just with the diagnosis, what are you qualified to receive in terms of help? Why are you looking at me like that?
Because are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. I don't know, and people want to know. Like, so your mom was diagnosed. So what kind of help is offered to you? Or if there's a lack of, let's talk about that.
Well, there was none. So when she was diagnosed, it was a slew of appointments. So you'll probably be referred to a neurologist, which is another test that will check dexterity. For sure, you would have to go for a CAT scan or MRI.
Did she lose her license right away?
Oh, yeah.
At that point?
No, as soon as she went to the neurologist, they report it immediately.
Yeah.
So that's when she lost it. And then they will see like the atrophy, the plaque on the brain, but after that, that's it. Okay, all right.
So when does any help come? Is it like when she's bedridden? Like when do you qualify to have a personal support worker coming in, or
when you talk loud enough?
So nothing is automatic.
Okay, so
this is what I'm
right,
wondering.
I went to an Age Well conference, just in Winnipeg, and I saw the documentary Much Too Young, and that's a reoccurring theme for caregivers. If you listen, is that you imagine if you didn't have someone to advocate for your help and health, and if you're saying, well, when does the help come? It doesn't until you find out where. That's why I had to find out things by fluke.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was available. Nobody told me it was available.
Yeah.
I was talking to, how I found out was I was speaking with my mom's family friend, like our family friend, and I was telling her, because I got my own care from the beginning, like, right, we had to find a live-in caregiver.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that there was any assistance from the government because it wasn't given to me or provided to me.
So that was just out of pocket.
Again,
right off the bat. Yeah.
Immediately, because nobody said.
But don't you think the doctors, if they diagnose you with something, like that would be like for me going to the doctor and they say you have Lyme's disease.
Really?
Okay, bye. You know, like.
Well, that's exactly.
But that's ridiculous.
What happened.
That's ridiculous.
Did you not read the book?
I did read the book, but
it said.
And I'm playing somewhat devil's advocate because
it was completely honest. All my doctor said is, your mom has Alzheimer's and life is going to change. That's the prescription.
Yeah.
Life is going to change. Yeah, you gotta like.
But that's a huge problem because people right off the bat.
I'm sure it's different.
They're not giving any direction.
Well, I would have to see if that. Remember, this is 17 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I would hope, which I'm pretty sure it's probably not.
Yeah.
But I would hope that it's not like that now.
So you think now that there is some kind of protocol on treatment with diagnosis,
or at least there's maybe resources right away to an Alzheimer's society, or depends, I guess, on your doctor on how they run their clinic.
But do you think maybe your doctor thinks that when they send you to a specialist, and then they get a little more like, is everyone passing the buck thinking someone else is going to, or is it just not even? I'm not.
The sad part of my mom's illness is, at least even now, over the years, there is a little bit more knowledge. Because at the beginning, there was nothing. Like, you read, and I told you, like, I went, Dr. Googleheimer.
Yeah.
We Google, I'm like, I'm like scanning, and then death. And that was, that's what, I said, okay. Because, like, no cure, death.
Yada,
yada. Oh, my God. This is serious, right? That's how how the alarm went off. Like, oh, okay. All right. She's going to forget stuff. Okay. But then, it really isn't. That's the other thing. Alzheimer's isn't, she just forgets stuff. No. You forget, your body shuts down, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Your brain is the hardware, right, of your body. And if you think of in a computer, if your hard drive fails, what happens?
Yeah, nothing can happen. Yeah,
right. So that's.
But it's almost worse, where it's like sectors of the hard drive.
Yeah.
So maybe you can do your math on the computer.
Yeah,
but
you could use a calculator, but then
you look up recipe or something.
But Word can't work, so you can't speak.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And is there? Has it been documented where like there's almost categories, or is it completely different for everyone else, where it'll affect them? I guess because it's on their brain differently.
Everybody has a different brain. Yeah. So there you go. So these stages were just sort of like a guideline. They're not to be used as a prescribed method that this is going to happen and this. You cannot prepare, because that you could be in stage 1 and stage 5. It's like Canadian weather.
Yeah, it's like, beautiful.
It could be like
it's a certain
80 degrees now. Then it could be a hurricane. Then it could snow.
So maybe that's part of the problem why there isn't standard protocol, because there's no standard symptoms.
Don't try to do that.
I'm trying to find out why.
That's not why.
So why is it? Because there's no money there, and they.
Well, you said it. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
It's from the conference and hearing other people. I just think it's not. It's so stigmatized regardless. And I'm not that any disease is. You want. Oh, I want cancer instead of that. But no, sorry to say, but I do want cancer instead of Alzheimer's.
Because there's more focus on it.
Well, not only that, you might go into remission. There's hope.
Right.
Right? This is like the hopeless disease.
Yeah.
So there's no hope.
And you think
how
that's
long
why?
will I live with it? Yeah.
Do you think that's why there's no money?
Well,
because
there's no cure.
Yeah. And
there's no therapy. There's no you don't hear anyone, oh yeah, she had Alzheimer's and now she doesn't. Like, you never hear one of those stories.
Yeah.
Or, so, yeah. It's pretty much a death sentence. And,
so is that why your focus is on caregivers now? Because, like...
Oh, yeah.
You don't... There's no... Is there research going on to try to reverse the effects or stop the effects? I know you touched on it briefly in your book that there's some medication that can slow the progression.
Yeah, Reminol, I don't even know if that's...
So was the doctor...
It's Aricept. When you first go, you're going to get the standard. At the time, Reminol was in trial phase. I'm not sure. I think it did pass the trial phase, but anyways.
But did you get that from your family doctor or from the specialist?
No, from your family doctor.
Okay, so there is some protocol.
That's what I was getting Aricept. Okay.
Okay. So, but that's something. At least there's something. It made it look like you have it and take your goodbye. But at least there is some medicine. There is some knowledge about medicine that they will prescribe.
Okay, at the time, all right. So good talk. Aricept is for apparently mild to moderate, right? And then at the time, at exact that time, because remember the irony. Alzheimer's, apparently, once you're diagnosed, it's usually means that you probably had it 10 years prior to that. It just hasn't been diagnosed.
Right.
So
your mom as early as 47. That's my age. That's our age.
That's your age. Okay, it's our age. Fine.
Oh, yeah. I guess I shouldn't have...
No, that's fine. I don't
care.
Yeah. No, but I mean, so maybe I have it right now.
Yeah. That explains a lot.
Yeah. Look who's talking. Okay. So which means by the time the diagnosis, you're not personally thinking. Yeah. You are not at the mild to moderate stage. You're probably at moderate to severe by the time you're diagnosed. And
does the testing give a status right away? So when he did the test...
No, it doesn't tell you where you are.
Yeah.
He'll just assume, she's 57, she's at mild to moderate.
Right.
Even though, looking back, and then, at that time there was a medication called abixamimantine.
Yeah.
And it was only available in Europe. It wasn't passed for Canada.
And is medication covered under OHIP? If they get prescribed medication?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. At least. That's something.
Well, again, glad that you brought that up. Yeah. Because my mom was 57.
Yeah.
So, no. She had to... Well, fortunately, she does have a private health care
but I don't understand. At
insurance.
57, some things you don't qualify for it?
Well, no, it's only under Trillium that you're covered. After you're 65, you get a universal, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, so she would have been out of pocket.
Yeah,
and her drugs were over $100. Reminol was $100 and something.
Yeah. So that's a problem too, right? Because obviously she couldn't drive. She probably couldn't work.
That's right.
Yeah.
She just,
I know.
Is there any good news?
I know there's not any good news, but...
Yeah, so if you have early onset Alzheimer's, and it's before, obviously, 65, you better hope you have private insurance for your medication. Yeah. Or else you're paying out of pocket.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. That's a real factor.
Yeah. So we're kind of trying to limit these to around 20 minutes, so we're already there, and that went fast. Mm-hmm. So I guess the next...
you keep going off topic.
I don't mean to, but
whatever. It's your early onset.
Yeah, maybe it is, or your more advanced early onset.
Whatever.
So maybe next time we'll kind of talk about how to apply, how to yell, because obviously it's not.
Oh, there's automatic. A waiting list, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
There's like a 9-month waiting list for those hours, so we have lots of time.
Yeah. All right, so we just kind of we just touched on the diagnosis stage, and we will continue with episode 3 and kind of find your journey to find resources and what you were able to uncover, because they weren't presented to you. You have to kind of search, but maybe you can help someone else going through this and kind of let them know where to go to get some help faster than you had to muddle your way through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe. You talked about that documentary. Maybe on this podcast we'll put a link, because I think it's a friend of yours who did the...
Oh, the Too Much Too Young?
Yeah. Because I haven't seen it. I'd be interested to see it. And we will talk to you next time.
Yes.
All right. Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye.